I'm sleepy at 9 o'clock at night and I decided to film. So let's get talking. I am doing this little series. I don't know if anyone really picked up on it from the last video, but this is my Thankful Thursdays since it is the month of the Thanksgiving holiday. So I wanted to list off things that I'm thankful for, and I want to put them all into videos to upload on Thursdays. Great. Now we got that out of the way, let's stop. This video is talking about creativity and the creative opportunities I have had since I was little and have been very happy and grateful and thankful to have gotten. I have always been a dramatic kid, I would say, and that's not in a sense of being like annoying. Well, I was annoying, but in a sense that I loved theater, I loved the creative arts. I loved everything that had to do with creating things. By the time I could start writing, which was like kindergarten, I would think, maybe a little bit before, I had a plethora of journals where I just had a bunch of short stories that I'd write. I was writing all the time, in class, at home, before bed, anytime that I could find to write, I was writing little short stories. And my dad would often tease me because when I would play the games in my head, which I later found out was my maladaptive daydreaming, my dad would joke with me saying that I was going to wear a hole through the floor because I was going back and forth, just rolling around, making up these fantasy worlds and stories in my head to write out later, which is where I actually got the inspiration for a couple of my books of different stories that I had been fantasizing in my head for years, and we're talking like since I was like probably 6 years old. We had gone to see the ballet production of, I believe it was Sleeping Beauty, and it was my first introduction to the theater arts that wasn't Little Shop of Horrors on my VHS tapes. And we went to this little brunch after the show, and the ballet instructor, who is very, very well respected in the community, especially in the ballet community, had come up to my mother and asked if I wanted a part in the Christmas production of the Nutcracker. And of course, I said yes, but I didn't say yes immediately. I was 6 years old and I was very, very nervous. I didn't know if I was good at theater. I knew I couldn't dance. I knew I would never be a ballerina, even though it kind of broke my little heart. But I thought it over and I'm like, this is the closest I'm ever gonna get to ballet, and that was like my life goal when I was a child, was to be a ballerina. That's all I wanted to be. That's all I wanted to do was dance. And this was before acting or before writing, really. Ballet was just, I fell in love with it, and I finally told my mom, like, okay, I'll do it. And I didn't expect to do anything except just sit there, and I was in for quite a surprise. I remember going to the ballet studio because they had rehearsals at the studio first, and then you had the dress rehearsal at the theater. And everyone there was so nice. Everyone there like just welcomed me with open arms. All the kids my age were super, super sweet to me. And they were just so good at what they did. Then again, the ballet teacher was very frightening, to say the least. She could make grown men and women burst into tears. She made the Sugar Plum Fairy, I remember, a couple of times burst into tears. But she was always nice to me. Then again, I was a mouse of a child. I didn't speak. I didn't bother anyone. I just kind of stayed in my little corner and did what I was supposed to. And I have to thank my ballet teacher because she taught me a lot of theater etiquette, how to position my chair and how to act out my emotions with my upper body, since I didn't have 100% of a body to do so on stage. She kind of taught me how to over-exaggerate my emotions so people could see all the way in the back. And she said, if they cannot see your expressions from the back seat, and keep in mind this was a theater that held a couple thousand people, you're not doing it right. My biggest fairy tale moment, and that's how I knew, like, oh, I love theater, I love doing this, was when they showed me the wheelchair that I got to use for the show. I expected that I was just going to use my wheelchair, which was this modern day black seat. I think it was purple at the time. The frame of it was either purple or pink. I cannot remember. Actually, it might have been green. I thought I was just going to use that because I didn't expect them to put any thought into me because I was only in one scene, which was the party family scene because I played Clara's little sister. They made the role special for me. But no, they came out with this 1800s authentic chair made in the 1800s that this guy from a couple states over kept so just pristine condition. Like the wheels were made out of like, I think they were iron and they weren't perfect circles. It was so cool and I loved it. And they let me use it for the next 5 years because I got to play Clara's little sister for 5 years with the company. And I kind of miss it, to be honest. I just felt like a princess because the sets were the most extravagant that I've ever seen because this company, they went all out and they had the budget to go all out, trust me. And just from everything to the hair pieces that the girls got to wear to the beautiful dresses that cost a fortune each. The wheelchair I just found amazing. I never did grow into that stupid thing. I was always too small for it. And it was so heavy that they had a ballerina play the nurse or the nanny or the maid, I don't know what you call her, to push me around because there was no way my little arms are going to be able to do that at all. I loved it. And she gave me an actual part to where I had a couple of moments where it was just me at center stage during the party scene, and I got to act my little heart out and I got to pretend to cry because I didn't get a present at the Christmas party. But then Drosselmeyer surprised everyone with gifts, including me. My character got a cute little bear because she had a porcelain doll at the beginning of the show, and she wanted something different because that was like the only toy or whatever she had. And I had a dance scene with a little boy. He was, I think, a little older than me, and he was a total sweetheart. He played the little boyfriend for, I think, a year or two before they switched him out. And it was so cute because the dance was difficult enough for the kids, but they made it so it looked like I could actually participate, and they cared. Even though I was off to the sides, they had me doing stuff, and I really, really appreciated it. I think because at such a young age, I didn't get stage fright to begin with, so I don't get stage fright anymore or ever. I don't really know what stage fright feels like, and I am very, very appreciative. I'm thankful for that because I later go on to pursue acting and theater and all this stuff, and it really was a big benefit on my end to getting into shows and even public speaking. It really, really helped me go through all this at an early stage, which I thought was very, very cool, and not a lot of people get that opportunity. I think it was about my 4th or 5th year, because I was with the ballet for about 5 years. I would say the 4th year, they kind of switched up my character a bit because I was getting older. I was about 10 or so, I think, at the time, 10 turning 11. They updated my dress. I grew out of the cranberry dress, which was the dress that my mom and I just loved. It was special made for me back when I was a child. And I managed to be able to fit into that thing until I was, I think, 11 years old. My mom and I were so sad when they gave me this still beautiful blue gown, but I really, really wish I could have kept that cranberry one. They switched out the pigtails to a ponytail, so I felt like one of the older girls in the scene. I felt like such an adult that because I was the only one with pigtails because I was the youngest, I believe, in that scene. I was the youngest kid. And it felt so cool. I felt like I was growing up. And then they surprised me, my final year with the ballet, they surprised me with a second role. I got to be in a couple more scenes in the ballet. They gave me this role of Candy Train Conductor in Act 2. If you've ever seen the ballet, they took one of my old wheelchairs and they converted it into this beautiful candy train. I even got a costume update. It was this very sparkly, all sequin, and it was green, and it was outlined with white trim. It was a beautiful top and a skirt, and I got a cute little hat. I got to update my makeup a little bit to look like one of the older girls, and I conducted the candy train, bringing in all the candies of all the little kids, which I thought was super cool. I always wanted to watch Act 2. Never thought I was going to be in Act 2, because I always loved the second act a lot more than the first, even though I do love the toy versus army of mice in Act 1. But just being able to watch my favorite character, which is the Spaniard and the Spanish dancer, do their dance, and I love the Arabian dance that they do. Those are both my favorites, and I got to actually sit like right in the center and watch that, which I thought was amazing. I do believe after I left they kept the train conductor wheelchair, but they converted it for the toy soldiers and army of mice scene. They converted it to be to carry the cannons, the toy cannons, for the mouse army. They don't use it for I don't think they use it for the candy train anymore, but I thought it was super cool that they kept that. They kept a little piece of me around, because that was my chair. It was the chair that I grew out of, and when I got my new one, they wanted it, and I said, sure, you can have it. And I thought that was super cool that they kept it, and they still use it for all their seasonal shows with the Nutcracker. Now, I didn't quit the ballet because I wanted to. I quit because, one, I was filming a movie at the time. My 5th year was the same year that I was filming the movie, and they had filmed parts of the show for the film, and then I was introduced to a local theater company, and they were presenting Our Town around the same time they were doing the Nutcracker, and I really wanted to try out, so I tried out for Our Town, and I got a speaking role, and it was going to clash with rehearsals both on Our Town side and the Nutcracker, and I decided to go with Our Town, and I'm actually really happy that I did. I got my first speaking role in Our Town. I don't remember the character's name. It wasn't like a real name, but the character did have a name. If you've ever seen Our Town, so freaking depressing. My mom and I came home from a rehearsal one night, and it was like Tech Week, a week before the show started, and she looks at me and she goes, I think they're all dead. Spoiler alert. The whole show's a flashback. The characters are dead, and it was a very depressing beginning to my true theater experience, but I'll never forget it. I stayed with that company from 2011 to 2017. I had been in, I believe, over 15 productions with them. I had ranged in roles from ensemble to minor speaking roles with them, and I'm very, very grateful for all of those roles. I learned a lot of theater etiquette from them as well. I learned a lot of backstage stuff. I learned a lot of the tech side of theater. I got to help out with sets one year instead of being in the show on stage. I got to do makeup for another show because I didn't have time to be in it, so I got to help out with the makeup side. I got to learn how everything comes together truly in a community theater production to make it work. I have to thank Pops for introducing me to that theater company, because he found them in our local newspaper, and had he not, I don't know where I'd be theater-wise, because that's like one of the bigger companies local to us. My biggest creative opportunity, I'd say, early on was the film that I was in. I don't talk about the movie as often as I used to back in the day, because now it's just kind of cringy. And it's no one's fault, it's just that it didn't age great. It was a small budget film, all local, no big names whatsoever. It was like all like family and friends that were in it. But Netflix had picked it up after we premiered it. We had about 2,000 to 3,000 people show up for the debut, which I thought was amazing. It just warmed my heart that people cared. Again, I just never think that people care about me or any of the things that I'm in or a part of, but they proved me wrong. Netflix had picked it up. It stayed on the platform for, I believe, 6.5 years before they got rid of it to make room for other things. That was astounding to me. I was more than grateful. I was so thankful for all of that. And that also is what kickstarted my love for being in movies and film. I then went on to do an ensemble part in another film that was being it was locally being filmed, but it was a bigger budget movie than what I was in before. In 2017, I opened up another creative door to myself, which was bringing my writing to a bigger platform. In November, they do this thing across the states called NaNoWriMo Month, and you have to write a 50,000 word book in 30 days. So I was in my creative writing class in my high school, and my teacher said, you guys can either do a project and present it to the class, or you can partake in this NaNoWriMo contest, and you have to get above at least, what do you say, like 30,000 words or whatever to count as credit. In the 30-day span. So I took that challenge because I didn't really feel like doing a project, and I never expected to finish my book. I took one of the ideas that I had written when I was a child. I'm talking like way back to when I told you guys about kindergarten. Yeah, I took that story. And it ended up becoming my 2459 book. That had been a story brewing in my mind ever since I was a little girl. And I think it's at about 65,000 words, and I finished that book in 20-some days. A couple days before the deadline, and it won me an award from NaNoWriMo, and then I just started getting so into it that the following year I wrote the sequel for NaNoWriMo as well. Didn't win an award for that one, but yeah, what can you do? And I started publishing my novels. I am now a proud author of my 4 babies, 2459, 0101, which is the sequel to that. Sweet Dreams, Love Hell, Sweet Dreams from Hell. Oh my gosh, I haven't looked at my books in such a long time. And Duplex 683. The funniest story and inspiration I got for my books would be Duplex 683, because I was walking around with my aide Ruth. We were walking around where the homes were, because we lived on a busy street, so we didn't have sidewalks. So I was just walking around in the yard, and we lived close to a duplex complex. And I was hopping around in my walking braces because there's no way I was going to walk because that took too much time. Hopping got me faster to where I wanted to be. And we saw that there was a really, really deep hole in the front yard of, I think it was duplex 671. It most likely was to like fix piping or whatever in the front yard, I don't know. But there was caution tape all around it. And I looked at Ruth and I was laughing and I was like, oh my gosh, what if they found like bodies or something like really creepy in that hole? And she was laughing, and we looked down at the asphalt where our feet were, and there were these really, really deep claw marks, like really deep, like an animal had been doing that. And she pointed out, she goes, oh, that's where the victims, when they were drugged to the hole. And we followed the claw marks, and across the way was duplex 683. And she's like, oh, what if they're setting up their neighbors? So I'm like, okay, we gotta get home. So I'm hopping like a bunny back to the house, and this car stops, and they roll down their window and they say to me and Ruth, they're like, hey, I just got this package, and it was like a pharmacy package with medicine, and she said to us, do you know where 683 is? And we just looked at each other and said, okay, Lita, you gotta write this. You gotta write a book. So if any of you are curious how Duplex 683 became a story, that's the story, and that's how it was made because of my wild imagination and Ruth encouraging it. My creative outlets had branched also to filming and being behind the camera as well as in front of the camera, obviously. YouTube, hello. But that is because I was so used to seeing Pops, my dad. He was our home video filmographer. He filmed absolutely everything, and I loved it. I loved playing with the cameras. I loved watching him put them all together onto the discs or onto VHS tapes at the time. Kind of shows how old I am. And when he passed away, though, no one else really wanted to do so. No one else really cared. Everyone was more so interested at the time in Facebook and Instagram and posting that stuff there. So for me, I really, really enjoyed editing footage. I really enjoyed filming. So I took up the duty of filming home videos, and that eventually branched out into filming my own stuff. And yes, I started with Littlest Pet Shops. I was like 12. Shut up. I didn't have anything else really to film. I wasn't confident with putting myself in front of the screen by any means. So I started out with Littlest Pet Shops, and I gained my quick following of about 300 subscribers on YouTube, and I thought, wow, Ma, look, I made it. But once I made it to high school, I completely shifted gears and started filming short films with newfound friends that I made at the new high school. And with that, I had branched out into filming stuff kind of like this, chatting, vlogs, travel vlogs as well as just talking about different topics like a normal YouTuber would. And my biggest outlet ever to have was definitely TikTok in 2017, more specifically, May of 2017. My sister, my younger sister, one of the youngest, had said to me as a dare that I couldn't keep a Musical.ly account, because TikTok was Musical.ly at the time, that I wouldn't be able to keep up with my Musical.ly account for longer than like a week. Keep in mind, I was a junior in high school. Just starting to be a junior in high school, I believe. And I kind of held off on the dare for a little bit because I was just so busy, and she kind of understood. I was just so busy with schoolwork. Junior year in high school is the worst of the 4 years ever. But in May, school was ending. I had nothing else to do. I knew my senior year was gonna be a breeze. So I made that Musical.ly account, and I didn't expect to really do anything with it. The dare was kind of hopeless on her end because she wasn't gonna win anything other than maybe bragging rights that she was correct, but she didn't really think it through to get like a couple bucks out of me, maybe a makeup palette. Not her fault. I got to keep everything. And I gained so much more because of it. So I kind of have her to thank for making me start that account to begin with. I started out really, really slow. I didn't know exactly how Musical.ly worked. I didn't really follow the whole Musical.ly thing. I knew maybe 2 of the bigger creators at the time, which was Lauren Gray and Melu Trevejo. So I only knew them. But as I kind of got a hang of it, Musical.ly was at the point when I started where the quick time, like where you move it and lip sync to music, was pretty much dying out. And it was transferring into the hashtag acting war, where you would start lip syncing audios from movies and TV shows and comedy skits, which I was better at anyway. I really, really enjoyed that. So I was slowly being able to find audios to things that I enjoyed. And there was an account, her name was Miriam? I don't remember. She was a bigger account at the time. She had about, I think she was really, really close to 100K. And she found my Grinch video where it was like 4 o'clock, wallow in self-pity. I can't cancel that again. That one she found and decided to duet it back when duets were becoming a thing. I don't think it was called duet at the time. And this was the final week where Musical.ly was transitioning into TikTok, when TikTok bought Musical.ly. And that was when my follower count went from 16 to like 7K overnight. I woke up the next morning to like almost 10K just because of that duet. I was astounded. So when I say I got my following by pure accident in the beginning, I'm not lying. It was by pure accident that she found my account and duetted more videos after that of mine. And then from there, Musical.ly had turned into TikTok, and TikTok was slowly becoming what it is today, which is making your own audios. It was developing with the acting wars. That hashtag was going away and just becoming the whole app in itself. Just lip syncing speaking audios rather than what Musical.ly was. It was really transforming, and I was lucky enough to be there in the beginning when people didn't really know what was going on, and I kind of already had a hang on it. So I was gaining about a couple thousand followers a day. And I had reached 100K before my first year anniversary of being on the app. It is now 2020. It is November of 2020. And I am currently comfortably sitting at 585,000, correct me if I'm wrong, 400 then? So 585,400 followers. And I am astounded. I honestly never thought I'd make it past maybe 10K. Because I was so used to being a nobody. I was so used to, like, at least on social media, being a no one. I was used to just being regular old Lita that no one knew. I was really quiet in high school. No one knew me. I had maybe about 4 or 5 friends tops. I was an introvert. I'm still an introvert, but I'm slowly coming out of my shell. No one knew me. And yes, with my following growing as fast as it did, I started getting sponsorships from small companies. My first big sponsorship was with OrangeJuicetheBrand, the clothing brand. I still have a code with them, but we don't really collaborate as much anymore as like we used to. And then the Third Eye contact company got in contact with me. I still work with them. They're all great people. And it just kind of kept going from there. More and more companies started seeing what I was doing. People really started liking my content. And my Starling family here on the internet started to grow. My little corner of the internet has now become a nice little healthy plot of land. Now when I'm saying I have all these creative outlets and how they came about, not once am I ever saying that I deserve it. Or I would be like, oh yeah, I totally deserve this, or no, I deserve so much more. No, I'm just lucky that I'm here. I think big time celebrities, like I'm talking like A-list celebrities, I think they get a better grasp on this. Not A-list celebrities, I'm gonna go with A-list influencers. How about that? Let's go with online influencers. My stance on it is I think they tend to forget just how important their followers are. Because I say this in the fact that the number that you see on your account, it's not just a number that goes up because a generator is pushing those numbers. Those are people. Sure, a majority of them, or minority of them, could be bots, electronic bots, but the mass majority are people with lives and jobs and families, and they choose to follow you because they like what you put out and they want to see you succeed, they want to see you grow, they want to see what you're doing. I feel like actors in shows and movies, I feel like they kind of get, I think they understand that a lot better than influencers, because influencers, they come and they go, and I feel that actors and entertainers in the entertainment industry, they get it. They understand, like, hey, this could change on a dime and it's super competitive. And they know that they don't want to be one of the they came and they went. They got to keep upping the content. And I have my lazy days. I'm not saying I'm a popular creator by any means, because I'm not. I'm still a nobody in this really competitive industry. But I can understand that as the following grows, my content has to grow too. I gotta figure out what they like, and I can't just stick with that. I gotta figure out new things and see what other people like to keep growing the audience. Because I feel like some of these creators get too comfortable. They're like, okay, dancing videos, that works. That's all I'm gonna do. It gets boring, and then you don't love your job as much, because this is also a job. As much as I love doing it, it's now a part-time job. And it's a job for them. For some influencers, it's a full-time job. And I don't know if it's kind of registered in their brain. Maybe it did. Maybe I'm just an idiot and I'm thinking too much into this. But never once will I ever get comfortable in this line of work to where I feel that I just deserve everything on a silver plate. Never. I'm only here making this content. I'm only here with the following that I have because you guys chose to follow me. This idiot you chose to follow and enjoy the content that I give out to you guys. And I'm really appreciative. I'm very thankful, obviously. I'm shocked, and I'm humbled, and I'm super appreciative of all of it. And again, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. I would still be little old me with 3K on Instagram, happy to hit 50 likes, and maybe 4 people watch my videos and see all of that. Through this job, I have gained my agent. I've gained so much information, not just so much as entertainment now, but now my outlets have branched out to business. I'm learning business techniques. I'm learning networking. Stuff I never thought I'd have to learn. Like 13-year-old me, who when I wanted to really get into like film acting, never thought of networking and how important it is to have that under your belt. It never crossed my mind, but now I'm learning just how important it is to have the right people in your court, what friendships to have, what friendships not to have, to understand a person's morals and their values, and how that's going to incorporate into not just their work, but your own work. I've made fantastic friends through this job, and I am just, it never would have happened without all the years back from when I was 6 years old to now. I feel like everything kind of trickled into place exactly how it should have. Even if times I was super frustrated, I would get so mad and be like, you know what, screw it. And keep in mind, I'm still a college student. I have not given up on college. I still am a college student. I am going to be getting my associates very, very soon, and I'll be going for my bachelor's and then eventually my master's degree. I will not stop until I have my master's degree, and I am looking very, very forward to that. I'm going for a master's in English because everyone wonders what my master's is. And my bachelor's, all that's going to be in English, but I'm trying to figure out what my minor is going to be still, and I'm glad that I still have time. But I feel like having numerous outlets is a good thing. I was taught, though, when I was younger, you gotta have just 2. You gotta whittle it down to 2. It was a weird marketing scheme that they had, and they told me you can only have 2 professions in this industry, in this entertainment industry specifically. And I kind of said, screw it. And now I have so many to where it's an influencer, actor, a writer. I produce my own content. I do absolutely everything that I possibly can. Makeup I love to do. I love to work on makeup outlets from cosplay to freelance makeup. I do everything that interests me because it interests me. And I feel like that's the advice I can give to people that want to get into this as well, is do what makes you happy. And if someone tells you you can only have 2 professions, no, say screw it. Do as much as you can handle. I'm a natural multitasker, so I can do a lot of different things all at once, as well as being a fur mom to 2 dogs, owning a house, going to college, doing all this stuff online, and keeping friendships and relationships as healthy as possible. So do what you can do at a healthy pace, and do what you love. Honestly. Final piece of creative advice I will give you that I have learned over the years. If you put out content that you yourself would not watch on repeat, or watch a couple of times and genuinely enjoy it, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be as good as it could have been. Do what you like. Film what you like. I wanted to film this little mini series of Thankful Thursdays because it's something that's been on my head since last year that I've wanted to do. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I do cosplay because I like to do it. I consider cosplay more of a hobby, but then it turned into freelance makeup, and it got me doing makeup for different theatrical things locally to me, and I want to branch that out. I do it because I like it. Some of my family members and friends had kind of teased me for it in the beginning, but look at it now. Do what you like. Don't care what other people say. Originality is so important. I know everyone tells you that. They're like, oh, be yourself, but it's true. I used to roll my eyes at it too, but I learned that originality is what helps you grow. But that's my take on the history of my creative outlets and where it's gotten me. I really do hope you enjoy this video, and I'm really hoping you stick around for the other 2 Thankful Thursdays that are coming up. And December's coming up, Christmas. No travel vlogs this year. I'm very, very sorry. Stupid COVID. But please, stay home. Love your loved ones. Find a hobby. Stay in school if you're in school. Do something you love. If you had an idea that you wanted to do for a while, wake up tomorrow and go do it. As long as it's safe. If you're safe and keeping others safe, go do it. But with all that being said, Starlings, that is the end of this video. All my social media links, including my book links, are down in the description box below. Excuse me. Comment what you thought about this video. Let me know what you thought. And give this video a like if you like it. Please subscribe. I do have more content coming your way. And with all that being said, I shall see you all later.